Welcome, student ambassadors, to your Northern Expedition presentation. Many of you have started your orientation meetings and are learning about the history and culture of Alaska. These orientation meetings are a great way to learn from your teacher leaders, build friendships with your fellow ambassadors, and discover the amazing sights and activities you will experience in just a few months. We encourage you and your parents to attend each of these pre-travel learning opportunities to get the most out of your student ambassador journey. Today, we are going to review a few elements of your itinerary and introduce you to an alum who has already experienced our Northern Expedition program. During this presentation, you'll also have the opportunity to take part in our Global Q. Our Global Q is a series of fun educational questions that will pop up throughout the presentation. This is a great opportunity to learn something and test your knowledge of Alaska. So let's get started. Welcome to Northern Expedition. Get ready for the last frontier, home to rugged beauty, the most famous dog race in the world, 8 national parks, the midnight sun, and some of the world's biggest bears. Alaska is truly the last frontier, with a culture and tradition unlike anywhere else in the United States. Take, for example, sled dog racing, such as the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race, or, as Alaskans call it, the Last Great Race. This race is run every year and goes from Anchorage to Nome. That's about 1,000 miles. An Iditarod team consists of 1 driver, 1 sled, and 12 dogs. This year, there are 68 teams in the race. The team that gets to Nome first wins. Are you ready for your first Global Q? Global Q number 1. What is a musher? A potato squish. B, a sled driver. C, the dog in front of the sled. Or D, a device used to crush snow. Could you imagine your family dog pulling you from Chicago to Denver in the snow? The drivers and their furry, 4-legged friends race through blizzards and wind that can send the temperature to below 100 degrees. Have you figured out the answer to Global Q number 1? The answer is B, sled driver. French traders and explorers were the first Europeans in the Arctic regions of North America and learned sledding from the natives. In French, the word marche means to go, and marche is French for let's get walking. Both words sound very much like musher. The English learned it from the French and changed it to sound more like mush than marsh. And on your Northern Expedition journey, you'll get a chance to cuddle some of the puppies who are destined to be racing stars when they get older. You'll visit an Iditarod dog training kennel and learn more about the art of mushing dogs in Alaska. We just want to warn you, don't get too attached to these furry friends. Taking them home, sadly, is not an option. Logan is an ambassador alum from the state of Washington. Check out what he thought of the experience.
Hi, my name is Logan Wallace. I'm in Puyallup, Washington, and I'm 7th grader who likes soccer. When I was in Alaska, one of my favorite things that I did was play with the Iditarod puppies. I learned about the Iditarod Trail in 4th grade in Miss Anderson's class. She was a very good teacher, and I learned all about Alaskan history. And it was really cool to actually be in Alaska and be able to see the dogs, the Iditarod dogs and the puppies.
Alaska is the 49th state in the USA. Called the last frontier, this rugged country is home to only 730,000 people. Global Q number 2. The United States bought Alaska for $7.2 million on March 30th, 1867. Which country did the United States buy Alaska from? A, China, B, England, C. France, or D. Russia? Well, if you said D. Russia, you're right. Even though the U.S. purchased Alaska from Russia in 1867, it wasn't until 1959 that Alaska officially became the 49th state. Alaska is so big it's as wide as the lower 48 states and larger than California, Montana, and Texas combined. With so much land and so few people, Alaska has some of the most diverse wildlife on the planet. The city of Anchorage is probably the only city in the U.S. that has a moose problem. Global cue number 3. Which is the largest animal found in Alaska today? A. Moose, B. Polar bear, C. Brown bear, or D. American bison? When you live in a place like Alaska, you better believe that the food is going to be unlike anything you've ever seen and tasted. With so many different forms of wildlife here, you'll get a chance to spend time in the kitchen at the Alaska Native Heritage Center, where you'll interact with elders and learn to prepare a traditional dish. But it's Alaska's cold water seafood that is the centerpiece of Alaskan cuisine. Salmon is one of the most important foods and is often served smoked, cured, as salmon jerky, and even Indian salmon candy. The Alaskan salmon and halibut fishing industry brings tourists and fishermen from all over the world. Did you know that all it takes is just one Alaskan king crab to feed a whole family for a meal? Logan didn't get to try Alaska king crab, but he did have a unique culinary experience while on his Northern Expedition program.
One thing that I will remember is eating caribou stew and reindeer sausages, and having a village elder make it's kind of a yogurt ice cream treat, and it was very cool because we got to hand make them with the elder. So it was very cool to try some of the older foods.
So did you get the answer to global cue number 3? If you guessed D, the American bison, then you are correct. Moose weigh on average 1,500 pounds. Polar bear and brown bears tip the scales at 1,400 pounds. And the American bison, it's Alaska's heavyweight champ, tipping the scales at 2,000 pounds. And rumor has it that they're tasty too, so be on the lookout for bison burgers. Global cue number 4. Across the entire country, the U.S. Census Bureau estimates that there are 5.2 million American Indian and Alaska Native residents. Do you know how many Indian tribes and Alaska Native tribes call this great state their home? Is it A, 1,027, B, 566, C, 231, or D, 127? The wildlife in Alaska is as diverse as the people. You'll get a chance to see that at Kenai, Alaska, home to Kenai Forests National Park. You will be a part of breathtaking and eye-popping excursion that will include hiking to a glacier. You'll be led by a park ranger to Exit Glacier, where you'll learn more about these majestic blocks of ice and why they are so important to our planet. Logan had a chance to see a glacier close up.
The glaciers were really big, and it wasn't like a frothy white snow that you get to normally see during Christmas. It was more of like a compact ice cube sort of thing. And while we were there, when we were heading back, one of the rangers, he had brought up a chunk of the glacier because it was floating along in the river and got caught. So it looked really cool. It was like a really big ice cube. It was about the size of a salad bowl.
Afterward, you'll board your ranger-led vessel to explore the coastline. On the way, you need to keep your eyes peeled for whales, sea otters, sea lions, walrus, eagles, bears, and moose. Did you know that scientists and researchers estimate there are about 450 species of birds, 430 species of fish and marine animals, and about 100 different mammals in Alaska? Logan saw a ton of animals while he was in Alaska.
Some of the animals I saw up in Alaska were moose, caribou, and deer. It was really cool seeing some of the animals for the first time. I know some of the things I saw were rams, white rams up in the mountains, and it was very, very cool to see those.
Many of these species will also be on display when you head to Denali National Park, a massive wildlife refuge where wild animals, large and small, make this 6 million acre park their home. Located at the entrance of the park is the Murray Science and Learning Center, a research center that is the hub for a variety of educational activities during the summer months. Denali Park is home to North America's highest mountain, Mount McKinley, towering more than 20,300 feet tall. Check out what Logan thought. So, do you feel confident in your research? You should if you guessed C. The United States Census Bureau recognizes 231 Indian tribes and Alaska Natives in the state of Alaska alone. Across the country, there are 566 Native American tribes. What that means is that 4 out of every 10 Indian tribes are located in Alaska. Logan had the opportunity to meet a tribe elder in person.
We had a dinner, and we got to try some of the local foods. During that dinner, we had a village elder come and talk to us about some of the things that she remembered a long time ago, from when they didn't have all of the electricity and technology that we do now. So it was really cool to see all that stuff, see how they lived and what they lived in and what they ate. So it was really cool.
These are just some of the things you'll learn and experience during your time in Alaska. From an excursion through the Denali Wilderness and your very own opportunity to pan for gold, you will find the Northern Expedition to be one of the most rewarding excursions you will ever have a chance to be part of. And yes, that's right, I said you will pan for gold. Alaska produces more gold than any state except Nevada. Interest in gold mining has surged. Get this, in the last 20 years, 200 million ounces of gold have been discovered in Alaska. But it takes a lot of hard work to find it, and most people who look long and hard for it don't find it very easily, so it's very hard to get rich. During your Northern Expedition program, you will learn more about modern gold mining techniques and get a chance to try your hand at gold mining with guidance from an expert. This special half-day program will immerse you in the history of Alaska's gold mining industry and give you insight into the rugged life of miners who helped shape the Alaskan frontier. Check out Logan's experience.
When we were gold mining ourselves, without the help of the experts, I didn't find any gold. But when we were doing it as everybody doing it, I believe we found 25 gold pieces, and they weren't very big. They were just a flex size. It's not very big, but it's still very cool to say, you know, I did that. I found gold in Alaska.
We appreciate you taking the time to attend this presentation. We've only begun to scratch the surface of what you can look forward to on Northern Expedition. If you haven't reviewed your sample itinerary yet, visit peopletopeople.com/find. We've posted a sample day-by-day itinerary for each program. And if you haven't joined our Facebook community, you should check it out. With almost 300,000 fans, our Facebook page is a great place to connect with fellow delegates, learn about scholarships and tuition credit opportunities, and stay up to date with people-to-people news. Thank you again. We're so glad you've chosen to take the educational journey of a lifetime. You are well on your way to being part of a global community as a student ambassador